Okay, the graph of a log function. So now let's talk about the graph of a log function graph. A log graph. Sorry. So the graph. Let me just circulate through that. The graph of a log function can easily be drawn by considering it as the inverse of an exponential function. So previously, if you look at this one, here's this question. Look at A. Oh, no, not this one, the log one. Sorry. C, this one. Yes, look at the answer to this one. So when we drew this one, we started by looking at its inverse. If this is the original, basically its inverse, which is the exponential. We looked at the exponential, if you check. So instead of starting with h of x, we started with the exponential. Then we drew the inverse. That's basically what they're saying. So it is, however, worthwhile to know the shapes of the two types of log functions. So you have the first type. So the first type is when occurs when a is bigger than 1. So whatever is here is bigger than 1. You'll see it's gonna be drawn like this. The main thing is they always pass here. If you check them, they always pass 1 to 0. But then when a is bigger than 0, this function is increasing. That is, from left to right, you can see it's going up. This one, from left to right, you can see it's going down. So that's increasing, that's decreasing. So when a is bigger than 1, it's an increasing. Then when a is between 0 and 1, it's a decreasing. And like I said, the x-intercept is always going to be 1 is to 0. The asymptotes, negative y-axis, that means it never touches this line. So if you check it, never passes this line. Touch or pass, gets close to it up until infinity. Similarly, even if a is between negative 1 and 1, it never passes there. So this line is basically x equals to 0, or the y-axis. That is the log function. Now let's get into reflections. Now under reflections, you're going to see the following. So there's reflections. So we just did the reflection in the y equal to x line, basically. So if it's basically finding the inverse. So instead of saying find the inverse, they can say find the reflection in the y equal to x line. That's what you do, exactly what you did when you were doing inverses. That is, if they say reflection in the y equals to x line and then they say find the new equation, just swap x and y. Reflections in the y-axis, here the x becomes negative x. So where there was x, you put negative x. For example, if you had something like this, let's say you had something like this. So it's y is equals to minus 2x plus 8. So if it's reflected in the y-axis, it's going to be y equals to, where we see x, we're going to put minus x. So it's going to be minus 2, and then here we're going to put minus x, and plus 8. And then you multiply minus 2, and then minus x, you get that simplified version. That's what you do with reflection in the y-axis. Reflection in the x-axis, the y becomes negative. So if you had the y is equals to the same equation, and then you're reflecting in the x-axis, the new equation will be minus y equals to minus 2x plus 8 divided by negative on both sides. You have 2x minus 8. Again, for the first one, if you had y equals to, that is the reflection in the y equals to x line. if you had minus 2x plus 8, and then they say the reflecting the y equal to x line, you do the same thing as you're doing when you find the inverse. You swap x and y. Then you make y sub the formula, just like that. So that's what happened with inverses. Just need to remember, for x-axis, the y becomes negative. In the reflection in the x-axis, y becomes negative. In the y-axis, x becomes negative. In the y equal to x line, you swap x and y. Let's check the example. So example 9, given that equation and another equation there, determine the equations of h if h is the reflection of f in the y-axis. So in the y-axis, it means x will go to minus x. So that means if you check it, there's the original. To find h, you just put negative x where there was x. Then you simplify it. Now you have the equation of h. So h of x equals 2x plus 8. So for the b, s reflection in the x-axis, that means y becomes negative. So start by writing it in the form y equals to 3x squared. So again, y becomes negative y here. So you start by writing it in that form, and then the y becomes negative. Where there was y, you put negative y, then divided by negative, you have it like that, which s of x will be that.